name is Deborah Mckay. I made a huge mistake and a dreadful lack of judgment that has proven fatal to my future in baseball and school. I take full responsibility in my role in this horrific prank gone wrong. I apologize for what I have done to you, the board, for taking up your time, the community who has worked so hard for our school and are tired of these pranks, my parents and my peers who have always been behind me in school and baseball. No matter how apologetic or remorseful I am, I will not take back what I have done. Even though I did not paint, I still held the paint tray, which has been harassing my mind of why I was even there. When I saw that everything was going downhill, I should have walked away, but instead I froze and robotically followed. I have learned that sometimes we drift like an untied boat in a lake. Even though we are on the right path and have the best values and morals, sometimes we get unanchored. We drift from those values and morals and mess up. This does not mean we can't get back to the dock. Most people, including me, learn from their mistakes and get back to our values and morals. I have not been a nuisance for Vasquez, and my record will show it. In my years at Vasquez, the only dilemma I have been in was a mutual combat fight at the end of my freshman year. Ever since, I have not been in a fight or have not been in any trouble. In my days with the therapist, I have learned that I am a contemplator. I need to think before I answer questions or before I do something. If not, I answer too quickly and forget the answer and act and forget the outcome. I've also learned that my actions have consequences that have arms that reach out and affect more people than me. A lot of people are shell-shocked that I was involved in such an act, and as much as they are shocked, they are disappointed. I've let many people down. My parents have always been there for me and will go to the end of the world for me. I've lost their trust and deeply embarrassed them. My mom, who has worked so hard for the PTSO, and my dad, who has worked so hard on the baseball field and for the baseball team. Being the captain of the baseball team, my team looks up to me. I'm supposed to set an example and be a leader, and I did not act accordingly. I let down my teammates, the parents, and my coach, Bob James. Bob has always been there for me as well, teaching me about baseball, about life, and being one of my valued friends. This is not how you're supposed to treat friends. I've disappointed him in the highest degree, and even though I did, he's still here and he still believes in me. After I was told I was expelled, he was the first person I called. I was crushed that I was expelled, and I thought he would be mad, but he was accepting. He understood that people make mistakes in their youth and even in adulthood. Some people get caught and some don't. Some learn and some don't. That goes along with a saying that Winston Churchill once said. He said that good men make mistakes, but great men learn from them. I can effortlessly move on knowing that I've learned a lot from this whole experience and will never do anything so stupid again. I want to be back in school with my friends, getting my education, and I want to be back playing baseball with my team. Everybody makes mistakes, some not as bad as others, but nonetheless, people learn from their mistakes. I'm not asking that I go unpunished. I ask that you, the board, can reconsider my reprimand and let me back in school with my rights. Thank you.
On December 8th, Cameron was cited for juvenile misdemeanor trespass by the Sheriff's Department. On December 14th, Cameron was advised by Dr. Woodward he was being expelled for hate crime and sexual harassment due to the nature of the graffiti and was put on indefinite suspension pending an expulsion hearing. Dr. Woodward said he was following the instructions of the school board and legal department, and all 4 participants were being charged the same regardless of their involvement. On January 8th, I picked up a revised final expulsion packet. This packet included all the incident statements, but still no victim statement. On January 12th, the day of the administration expulsion hearing, we received a phone call from Dr. Woodward stating the expulsion had been pulled off the table by the legal department and school board and remanded back to him for discipline action. His decision for discipline was to put Cameron on ed ops and take away all of his student privileges. We refused this, and he replied, "We didn't have a choice, this was his decision." January 26th, we received a letter from Dr. Woodward advising us he has completed his investigation and Cameron was being placed in an alternative setting for violating Ed Codes 48900K, 48900F, and 48900.2, sexual harassment as defined in section 212.5. Please note, these are the same allegations used to suspend Cameron pending an expulsion hearing. This expulsion hearing was ultimately taken off the table by legal and the school board on January 12th. Now these same allegations are being used to remove Cameron involuntarily from school.
And now the handbook says that we met and decided what Mark called like a bail list. And there's a section in there called graffiti and tagging, 48900F. There's a minimum and a maximum punishment. Now, the minimum punishment that we've decided on and told the students is personal property, warning, referral to sheriff. A maximum punishment, we say personal property, significant damage, 5-day off-campus suspension, recommended for possible expulsion, financial restitution, referral to the sheriff. And I would ask that the four of us direct that the site not inflict any other punishment other than to have them pay for the damages. And the basis for that is some of the things that might have been proper to punish Cameron with wouldn't be proper now because of the severe punishment that he's already had.
So I can't say ultimately where this all comes out. I haven't looked at all the evidence, but what I could say is student athletes ought to represent the highest standards, and that ought to be what the school board stands for, in my opinion, going forward. And we ought not be that interested in the technicalities.
We spent hours on this board developing that handbook and the consequences. We labored over it. We talked to families. We talked to different organizations. What do you think about this? The bottom line was, you are to maintain our schools so that they are safe places for our students to come every single day for them to strive for their education. It is not acceptable for someone to do something and think they're going to get away with it.
I read Cameron's statement. I think that he's genuine about what he said. I think that everyone here should understand that the board is privy to information that we're not necessarily allowed to share with everybody.
You can only tell them why they're being suspended for what you know at the time. As the investigation goes on and you learn more and you determine that there were other facts that come up, that's how 48900F get attached, that's how these other things get attached. Nothing that I've read or studied on this case that would suggest that somehow there was skullduggery or that the district was blowing it. It's simply a process the state makes you go through, and at times it looks unclean, but it doesn't mean that it is. The bottom line is not only was it a criminal offense, it was the content of the offense that was very troubling in terms of what was done.
With regards to Cameron, I've known Cameron his entire year at the high school. We've had many opportunities to discuss issues around the campus with the baseball team and around athletics in general. I did tell him, I was expressed to him that I was very disappointed in his actions, in his involvement, his participation. I'm an educator. I believe in young students. I believe in athletics. I have a strong percentage that is a great motivator for young people to become better people. Cameron is a fine young man. He's not broken. He made a mistake. I want him to suffer a consequence, as I do all of my student athletes. I'm just troubled with the process that we went through to get where we are.
James, I'm the baseball coach for Vasquez High. I have coached Cam since he was a freshman, about 3 years now. Cam's GPA is real high. He's obviously a hard worker. I've seen him work his tail off on the baseball field to try to get ahead, and to have that stopped in its tracks because of one horrible mistake. You know, I think that would just be unconscionable.
The reason I am up here is because of Cameron Mckay. This kid has shown me on and off for these last 4 years his dedication to work, to be a student athlete, not an athlete student, but a student athlete, where I have seen him in between games in the dugout studying with his books, to get his dreams, to fulfill his dreams and go to college and get a scholarship to a better school that maybe they couldn't even afford, but to do it with baseball, that is something not unheard of, but is very difficult.
And so I would appeal to the board to look at Cameron's record overall. He's a very good young man. He's got plans to serve the public and the community. His family has a track record. He's got an older brother that's serving the public. And I think all these things need to be taken into consideration.